Hey, I'm Dietec, and I like to modify computers, and this is a video on how to power a computer's power supply without actually building the computer first. There's not actually a whole lot that you need to do this, just the power supply itself, as well as the power cable that you'll plug into the wall, and then a 24-pin motherboard power cable, which you're going to use as the kind of on-off switch, and then the actual SATA or Molex cable itself, which is what you're going to use to supply power to whatever it is you're trying to power. In my example here, I use an LED strip because if you're going to be case modding with LED strips, this is a good way to power them. You'll just need a power supply instead of a full entire computer in order to show off your lighting mods. And if you're going to do it this way, make sure your LED strip is hardware controlled for the lights, because obviously if it's software controlled, you won't be able to change the software settings and you won't be able to change the lights. So if it's hardware controlled and you have a little controller, an IR controller, you'll actually be able to change the colors and the effects and everything to get it to look the way that you want it to. Another thing you might be doing with this method besides powering LED strips for your mods is powering water cooling equipment if you're modding those as well, such as AIO water coolers, such as if you're replacing the tubes on those and want to do a leak test, or custom water cooling. If you want to do a leak test on your pump, you can power it up this way without having to power up any of your other components. So if it does leak, it will be leaking onto non-powered up equipment, which is definitely the way that you want to go, because if your stuff is powered up, it will die if it gets wet, but if it's not powered up, it might not die. And now that we've got all that out of the way, the secret to doing this is to just bridge these two pins on the motherboard power cable. Just pin 15 and 16 in this diagram here. 16 is the power on cable and 15 is just a ground, so you could actually use pin 17 as well, because they're both ground pins. So you just bridge that pin and it turns it on and it powers your LEDs or whatever else, your water cooling pump or anything else. When I'm modding, I just keep a power supply plugged in and just sitting on my desk like you see it right here, and I can use this method to power my LEDs or whatever I'm trying to do with my mod and see how it looks without having to build a computer inside of it. It's super handy. Obviously, you don't want to be building a computer every time you want to see what your LEDs look like, because then if you don't like it, you have to take the computer apart and everything. Super complicated and unnecessary. If you want to see more PC modding related content like this, then subscribe and check the description for my social media accounts, and I will see you in the next one.